Today we're going to talk about Workbook 5A, Exercise 9. In the textbook, it's page 22 and 23. Turn in your textbook there because there are word problems and we'll need to be able to look at those together. Remember, when we do word problems, we basically go with a four-step process. You're going to read the problem carefully. Then I want you to think about it, very likely draw some sort of a picture relating to the problem. Then write a math sentence. And then finally, always remember to answer the question using units as part of your answer. And so we'll demonstrate that process on page 22. It says Alicia bought 420 mangoes for $378. She packed the mangoes in bags of 4 mangoes each and sold all the mangoes at $6 per bag. How much money did she make? All right, so we've read it. Now we're going to think about taking the 420 mangoes and dividing it into groups of 4. Every group has 4 mangoes, and then each of those sells for $6 a bag. And the question is, how much money did she make? Well, from the picture that I have, I can see that I'm going to take the number 420 and divide it into 4s. If I put them in groups of 4, now when I look at the number 420, I see that it is 420, and when I divide those numbers by 4, I get 105. So there are 105 bags. Then we notice that, of course, each of those bags is sold for $6 each. 105 times 6 is $630. So what she brought in was $630. But the question is not how much money did she bring in, the question is how much money she made. So if you think about this, sometimes we use the word profit. $630 is the amount of money that she now has. That was after she spent on the mangoes $378, and then the rest of that is the money that she made. So understand the terms is a very important part of it, and we're trying to find out how much she made. This picture reminds us of a subtraction problem, 630 minus 378. Now, of course, you could do that setting it up vertically. I like to think of it mentally. If I start at 378 and I'm trying to go to 630, remember how we've taken that to 100s? It's going to take 22 to get from 378 to 100 because you need 9 10s and 10 1s. And then to go from 400 to 630, that's 230. And so pretty quickly I can come up with 252 is the answer to that subtraction problem. All of this I generally am able to do mentally. Maybe I even write down 22 and 230 is 252, but to me that's faster than doing the vertical subtraction. Either way, what I have found is that the money that she has in this part is $252. So now it's time to answer the question. She made $252 selling mangoes. Again, notice we read it and thought about it. We drew something. We wrote, in this case, several math sentences. First we had to divide by 4, then we had to multiply by 6, then we had to subtract, that would have been a number 2, that was the second thing we did. Then we had to subtract to find out how much money she made. This was in fact a 3-step problem. We wrote each math sentence and wrote the answer, and in the end we answered the question. Very important to do each of those steps. Look at page 23. There are 2 more examples of word problems on this page. Ryan and John shared $410 between them. Ryan received $100 more than Juan. How much did Juan receive? Well, if you think of $410 and you give away $100 to Ryan, because he gets 100 more than Juan, and then the rest of the money is divided evenly between them. I'm actually going to show it so I'm kind of like the book is, it'll look like this. Altogether, the money that they have is $410. Ryan has $100 more than Juan. We're trying to find how much money Juan received. Well, if I look at this picture, it's helpful because I can see that if I got rid of that money, everything else is in two equal groups. So 410, subtract the 100 that Ryan has extra, and that means that they equally share $310. 310 divided by 2, now see, I know that 310, if I divide by 2, I know that 300 is 150, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So when I look at 310 divided by 2, I'm pretty quick to know it's 155. You could certainly go from 300 to 200, it's 310, 200 and then 110, and think of that as 110, and each of those divides by 2 to become 155. And of course, nothing wrong with doing long division if you prefer. We all know how that works. 2 goes into 3 one time. 1 times 2 is 2. Subtract, bring down. 2 goes into 11. 5 times 2 is 10. Subtract and bring down. 2 goes into 10. 5 times 2 is 10. Subtract. You get 0. So of course 155, remainder 0. Lots of ways to do it. What we end up with is $155 is what is in each of the two equal parts. So this is 155 and this is 155. We've done all the math. We've written the math sentences. This was our first math sentence. This was our second math sentence. We want to state the answer. Juan has $155. It's always a good idea to check your work. Notice if Ryan has 155 and 100 more, he has $255. Juan has $155. If I add that together, I find out that they do indeed have a total of 410, and Ryan does have 100 more than Juan, which is exactly what the problem asked us, gave us as information. And so I'm really sure that I have the right answer. I love word problems. You can pretty much always know that you have the right answer because you can check it back with the information you were given. But write the math sentences and then state the answer using units every time you do a word problem. Number 2, Peter collected a total of 1,170 stamps. He collected 4 times as many U.S. stamps as foreign stamps. How many U.S. stamps did he collect? Well, if you think about the foreign stamps and the U.S. stamps, there are 4 times as many U.S. stamps as foreign stamps. So if each of these boxes are equal, there's 1 foreign stamp, and 4 times 1, right? 4 times as many U.S. stamps means if you have 1 foreign stamp box, then you'll have 4 U.S. stamp boxes. So that's how I know to draw the picture like that. And then I also am told in the information that he has a total of 1,170 stamps. And we're trying to find out how many U.S. stamps he collected. Well, the picture makes it really clear that I have 5 equal boxes, and those 5 equal boxes combine to be 1,170. So I'm going to divide that by 5. Again, I think about division this way, and I get numbers that can be divided by 5. 1,000 divided by 5 is 200. 10 tens divided by 5 is 2 tens. 7 tens divided by 5 is going to be 14. If you can think about every 10 has 2 5s, right? You could certainly take that down even further to 50 and 20 and get 10 and 4 from that. But when I do this division, 234 is the answer. Now, a lot of this I do in my head. I write it down to show you what it looks like, but if you'll practice thinking about the numbers this way, it becomes pretty easy to do the division problems. If you prefer long division, of course, 1,170 divided by 5. 5 goes into 11 twice. 2 times 5 is 10. We do that process every time where we divide a number into a number. 11 divided by 5, I often say 5 goes into 11. That's division stated backwards. Then you multiply 2 times 5, then you subtract, then you bring down. And we continue with that process. 5 goes into 17 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. I'm going to subtract and bring down. 5 goes into 20 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. I subtract. I have nothing left to bring down, so that just tells me my remainder is 0, which I expected. Now, when I find 234, however you find it, what does 234 mean? Each of my boxes is 234. That's what we mean by that. So the question, don't forget, we got to answer the question that was asked. The question was, how many U.S. stamps did he collect? We have two options at this point. We could find 234 and multiply it times 4. Each box is 234. That's going to give us 8 hundreds and 12 tens and 16 ones. That will be 936 would be the answer. Another option is to realize that he has 1,170 stamps and 234 of them are foreign stamps. So you could subtract these numbers and get 936. Either way, you've done a good job understanding the problem. So the first math sentence is a division problem. The second math sentence could be either a multiplication or a subtraction problem, and then you need to finish up by stating your answer, 936 U.S. stamps. All right, so those are your sample word problems to remind you how to set them up, how to do them, how to draw them, how to show your work on them, and now you're ready to do exercise 9.